Hello friends, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Danny and today I'm going to tell you about a yearly challenge that I'm doing to get myself out of my comfort zone. Every year I try and push myself to read something or some books that are out of my comfort zone, and typically I do this with my 25 and 2025. However, what I have found within the past couple of years as I do this is I will avoid those books until the end of the year. And then I have all of them to do at the last month of the year, which is just not going to happen. And I want something else. I want something that maybe is completely separate of that will push me to be thinking about this on like monthly TBRs and I don't know, something separate. And so that's why my 25 and 2025 this year really didn't have any risky books in it. I love those lists, but I hate the fact that I don't complete them. And so I wanted to give myself a list that I should be able to complete all of the prompts on. And this is going to be a yearly challenge. I'm going to call it That's Not Normal because it's not going to be my normal reading taste. I have created graphics for it. So if you guys would like to play along and do this for yourselves, please feel free. It's not something I'm going to manage or host or do like live events for, but if you guys would like to play along with me and comment, I will give you guys updates throughout the year. I would love to hear from you guys. So that's what this is. And I'm going to tell you guys about the prompts, what I'm going to be doing. I don't have any books in mind right now, but at the end of every month, I think I'm going to set aside like a time for me to do like a little bit of a check-in with myself to see like, were there any books that I picked up on my own throughout the month that fit this bill, that were a little out of my comfort zone, you know, whether or not they were a success or not, that still fits the prompts. It's gonna be on my graphic. And if I didn't hit any of the prompts on my own, then I'm going to pressure myself in the next month to pick up a book. My goal by the end of the year is to have 10 books that I can fit with these prompts. And I'm gonna show you how I'm gonna get those. So that's what this is. It's not competitive by any means, and it's year long. You can take it past a year if you want to, but that's what I will be using it for. So I'm gonna scoot over. I'm gonna put a graphic up on the screen. So this is the graphic for That's Not Normal. I will also have one that has places that you can put your books. Actually I can show you guys. I'll have a graphic that has 10, which is what I'm going to try and do. So 10 books for the year. And then I'll have another graphic that if you guys want, like 12, if you want to do one per month, that you can put this on Instagram or, you know, wherever you can print it off and put it in your bullet journals if you would like to do this throughout the year as well. So the first set of things that I have to accomplish, and you don't have to do these in any order. I'll talk about them in order. So the first set of things on this graphic are things that you avoid. So this is going to be specific to you. I tried to make the prompts general. So if you guys wanted to play along at home, you could make this yours. The first thing is a genre. So a genre that you avoid. So for me, this could be nonfiction, because I avoid nonfiction like the plague. This could be romance. This could be contemporary, general fiction. Those are all things that I don't typically gravitate towards. Next, we have classic versus modern. So if you read classics on the regular, you would read a modern book. If you read modern books on the regular, you would read a classic book. So for me, I'm definitely going to be picking up a classic for this. I'm hoping that this one will get done in January because I'm reading Frankenstein this month. So hopefully, as long as I get that done for my TBR, that one should be checked off the list. The next one is long versus short. If you are a person who typically reads shorter books, you are going to pick up a longer one. If you typically read longer books, you're going to pick up a shorter one. I also think that you could say long form versus short form. So for me, how I think I'm going to do this, because I like chunky books, but I also like shorter books. But something I avoid is short story collections. I do not read short story collections because usually they don't work for me. So I think that's what I'm going to use this prompt for. So maybe you are somebody who typically enjoys shorter books and you avoid intimidating longer books. Then you could pick a longer story for this. And it doesn't have to be like long for me. It doesn't have to be 1,000 pages. If you are typically reading 200, 300 page books and you want to read a 400 page book, that counts. It's just something out of your comfort zone. The whole purpose of this is to get you guys, and me specifically, this is why I'm doing it, is for me to get myself to pick up books that I wouldn't typically. Next is tense or POV. So for this, you can choose which of these you want to do, and it's just kind of whether or not you pay attention to these things. Tense means the type of tense in the story. Is it first person, second person, third person? Which one do you usually read? And you could pair that with a genre too. I know I've had conversations with Leandra about how she doesn't really like to read first person within a romance story or even a romance subplot. And so you could then pick up a romance that's in first person, since that's something you typically avoid. Or POV means that I would, if I usually read a single POV storyline, I don't like multiple POVs, I would pick the multiple POV. Or vice versa, if I'm used to reading stories with a lot of POVs, I would pick one that has a single point of view. I haven't decided which one I'm gonna do here. I haven't read a ton of stories in second person, but I don't think it's something I avoid because I really did like it in the 5th season, so I don't know that I could use that. So I'm gonna have to think about this one. I do tend to gravitate towards books that have multiple POVs, and so I could definitely go with just a single point of view storyline, so that might be what I end up doing for this one. The next category is bookish pursuits. So this is just a variety of different things, and I do think that these are a little bit more, you can interpret these a little bit differently. So anti-bookish buzzwords. These are things that when you hear people say them for a book, you're like, nope, that book's not for me. For instance, I have recently realized that absurdism is something that I don't often enjoy. However, there have been books that have absurdist elements that I do like, and so I don't want to completely shut that out of my reading picks. And so I would probably, that would probably be the word that I would look for in this. But it could be anything. So if someone says cozy and you're like, ooh, I don't normally read cozy books, that could be something that you consider picking up throughout the year, is just one cozy book. And I don't want you guys to be picking up things that you hate. I don't want to pick up books that I'm going to hate. That's not why I'm doing this. And that's not why I want you to do it either. If you do decide to come along on this journey with me, don't be picking books that you know you're going to hate. Try and find a book that has a bookish buzzword in it that sounds interesting to you, but you're avoiding it because of somebody said this bookish buzzword and it makes you not want to read it. Try it anyway. That's what this is for. We're not trying to torture ourselves. And DNFs count. If we start a book and we realize that it's still not for us, we started it. It still counts. Next is a different perspective. And I think this can be interpreted in a couple of different ways. One is just reading from someone who is unlike yourself. So I could read from a male perspective, whether or not that means the author is male or that the character is male. You could take that as an interpretation as well. Or I could read from maybe a different age category. I could read a middle grade perspective. I could read a person who doesn't agree with me. That's kind of another spin on this. If I know that I feel this specific way on whatever topic, it could be a political topic, it could be environmental topic, whatever you want and whatever you're looking at, you could find someone with an opposing opinion and read an article. It doesn't have to be a book. These things don't have to be long form content, as we've discussed. So that's what different perspective means. And then the next one is an important read. Once again, this is open for interpretation. I'm doing this for myself, and so I'm going to choose a book that I think covers a really important topic. Preferably for me, I'm going to pick up a book that I don't think is really widely, not that the book isn't widely read, but that I think the topic in the book isn't widely shown, or at least in my opinion, I don't think a lot of people are reading about it. So that's probably what I'm gonna do, but that's what that means. It does not have to be nonfiction. It can be a fiction book that covers a fictional topic that you find really important. It can be a fiction book that covers a real world topic. We know that there are lots of climate fiction things out there as well. So whatever you guys are interested in that you find important, that you think more people should read about, that's what I want you guys to pick up. And then learn something new. I put this on this list because I am going to force myself. I need to read more nonfiction this year. I have to. I am so bad about picking it up. It is something I completely avoid on the daily, and I really shouldn't because there are so many nonfiction books out there I know I would like. And so that is what this is here for me, is I want to learn something new. So I want to pick up, I think I'm going to be reading Braiding Sweetgrass. That's the one that's on my mind as I'm looking at this list. But there are a lot of other things that you could use this for. Maybe you are someone who doesn't usually read fantasy and you want to learn something about the fantasy genre. You want to learn about world building. And so you pick up an author who has been told to you is a great world builder. Make this what you want. This is, like I said, I'm not going to police this. Use it for getting out of your comfort zone. And then the last section that I have for you guys, this is mix and match. So as I told you, I am going to do 10 books this year. That is the purpose of me doing this, is I would like to have 10 books that I grabbed that were a little out of my comfort zone. And so I have 4. You have to get the 4, or this is how I'm going to play. You guys can play however you want. So things you avoid, I have to have all 4 of those. They have to be represented by 4 separate books. For bookish pursuits, you have to have 4 separate books, 1 representing each. I'm sure that there are going to be books that do crossovers, but I want to have 4 individual books for each of those 8 prompts. And then the mix and match, I can pick 2 of the prompts, and those 2 are going to be 1 book. And then I'll do the other 2. I do want to make sure that I get to all of the prompts on this graphic. So with the last 2, you can pair 2 of them together. So I just wanted to explain, because I think these are probably the most general out of all of them. So the first mix and match is you again. And this can be interpreted several different ways. The way that I put it on here for was a repeat author. So an author that I've read in the past that I did not enjoy, but I don't want to give up on. And so that could be something that I do, but it could also be maybe a trope that you have really hated in the past, but you think that you could potentially like it if it was written by the right person. That could be you again. So it's just something that you have not liked originally, that has not been your cup of tea originally in a book, that you want to go back to again and see, okay, is it going to work the second time or maybe not? Next is not from around here. And I specifically put this on here because I want to read more translations. So that's what I'm going to use this prompt for, is to read a translation. But it could also be that you are just reading a book that is not set in your home country. So read a book that is set in an area that you are not from and that you are not aware of. For instance, so I'm in the United States, but I could read a book from a different state, because a lot of our states have different cultures and lifestyles and things that are done in those states way differently than mine. And so that would also count. So that's what that prompt means. The next one is, you sure about this? And I think this one's probably going to be the hardest for me to actually read, because I am going to challenge myself. This one is going to be picking up a book that I would never have picked up without this challenge. So something that is completely out of my purview, not anything like, this will not be a fantasy book, because anything within fantasy I could probably get away with picking up. It's something that's in my comfort zone. But this has to be a book that I also want to be interested in it. So I am going to specifically, this is probably the one I'll have to do the most research on, because I'm going to go into genres that I don't typically read. I'm going to go into tropes that I don't typically love, or that maybe I haven't read before. I am going to look at like maybe best lists of the year from like New York Times and Goodreads and Hugo Awards. Like maybe I'll look at the different awards lists and things like that. And I'm going to pick a book, preferably a book that a lot of people like. So like it's almost like a universal thing, but something I would never have picked up before. And that's what I'm going to read for this prompt. That's what you sure about this is going to be. And the last one, you're weird. This comes back to my love of weird things. I really like a weird narrative. I think that weird books are really fun. Books that are kind of trippy and maybe you don't get all the answers in the end, I have really enjoyed in the past. And I know this is supposed to be like getting out of my comfort zone. I do think a lot of books that I have picked up that are weird are out of my comfort zone. And some of them, that's why I wait so long to pick them up. A lot of the weird books that I've ended up enjoying came from recommendations from other people, and I didn't realize that they were weird until I picked them up. And I was like, this is a very strange storyline. And so I would like to encourage myself to pick up more weird books, because I think 2024 was not the year of the weird. So maybe 2025 will be. That is my yearly challenge of that's not normal. Once again, I'm doing this for me. I want to pressure myself and push myself to go out of my comfort zone and pick up books that I typically wouldn't, because it's the only way I'm going to learn my reading tastes and expand my information about what's out there and potentially give you guys better and better recommendations for yourselves. So that's why I'm doing it. If you come along with me and do this for the year as well, I would be honored. But once again, no pressure. All of the graphics and everything are going to be in a Google Drive in the description if you guys are interested. But this will be something that I check in with you throughout the year. Not every month by any means. Maybe every quarter I will do a little check-in to see what my progress is and what I thought of the books that I'll be reading for this challenge. Let me know in the comments down below a book that is out of your comfort zone that you've been wanting to read for a while and you just keep putting it off. If you aren't feeling chatty today, just leave me one of those like crazy emojis, the like one, so I know that you're here with me. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you have a lovely evening and I will see you in the next one. Bye.